Thank you. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me all right? Does it all sound good? Look good? All right. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yes, this is such a different experience, Brian, and I thank you for having me. Um, I don't get to walk to the bar and get my glass of bubbles, but I am so excited to be here with you all, and I've been hearing some of the other speakers, and just the vibe of it is phenomenal. So, I'm a person who really feeds off energy. So if y'all could do me one quick favor and just drop something in that chat box, drop an emoji, drop a like, drop your favorite word, whatever. I just want to see that chat box blow up for just a second. That's going to get me hyped. I see it. I see it. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go. Let's go. All right. We're about to do this. Y'all, look. So I recently did a TED Talk, and it was my first TED Talk that I've ever done. We see TED Talks all over the place, but I never thought of myself as a TED Talker. But I said, hey, I speak all the time. I go to different events and do my thing. But boy, that TED experience is totally different. It's totally different from anything that I've ever done. It was very much so, very structured and process systems, all that kind of stuff went into this TED experience. And since it was a TED experience, TED is one of those, like, I call it the world's largest stage. I couldn't just get up there and do my same talk that I was comfortable with, right? I couldn't do what most people know me to do, especially being in real estate. I had to do something that they call an idea worth spreading, right? I've never done an idea worth spreading before, but the talk that I chose to do was actually based off of something that happened in my childhood. And my talk was titled, When Poor Kids Think Rich. When Poor Kids Think Rich. Again, nothing that I've ever done before, but it really hit me hard as I was writing my talk and practicing and ultimately doing it on stage. It really hit me that, hey, this was my actual life, right? I was that poor kid, and I had a different level of thinking, aka thinking rich, that ultimately put me where I am today. Growing up, I was in the fifth grade, and one of my teachers gifted me a laptop, a whole laptop, right? I took that laptop home, and my mom thought that I stole it. She wouldn't let me keep the laptop, right? She said that we didn't receive gifts like this. She didn't believe me. And I wasn't such a bad kid, but it was just out of the norm. And so in When Broke Kids Think Rich, I talked about that experience all the way to the point where she went up to the school to talk to the teacher to figure out, why would this lady give me a laptop? And my teacher explained that she saw something in me. She said this would keep me out of trouble. And ultimately, she wanted me to use it to do good. Now, that laptop, that whole experience taught me a bunch of lessons. And you can hear these lessons in the TED Talk, but it taught me about entrepreneurship. It taught me about being resilient, social capital, financial literacy, money, all of that went from just this laptop that was given as a gift. Now, since I was that poor kid growing up, I noticed during my whole journey in real estate, I was always working with what Damon John calls the power of broke. The power of broke. It's when you're able to take being broke and turn it into something great, turn it into something miraculous. Many people know my open house story when I was in an open house and had a breakdown because nobody was coming in. I was broke. My electricity was off at home. I was about to be facing eviction. Not a lot of gas in my car. And here I was working hard day after day trying to build this real estate business, and yet I'm broke. I'm doing everything that people tell me to do, but what do I have to show for it? Now, where that power comes in is when you're broke and you really want something, you figure out ways to get it. For instance, I was not in that position that I could have someone design me a business card. I couldn't have someone design me a website or a Facebook image. But guess what? I needed that stuff. So that power of broke led me to learn how to do it myself. Right? That power of broke led me to get educated in different ways because I did not have money to spend on myself. I didn't. But I took being broke and I used it as a superpower. I used it to be able to figure things out. And so, what do I do now? Today, I help people live out their purpose by uncovering the process to get there, because I realize everything is a process. Everything is a process. Learning how to create graphics is a process. Learning how to sell a home, it's a process. Actually selling that property is a process. But what I want to know is, does that process align with your purpose? So, what I want to talk to you real quick about today is the power of process and how you can craft your roadmap to success. Okay, that's what I want to spend a little time and talk to y'all about today. Is that all right with y'all? Let me know in the chat box if that's all right with you. How to craft that roadmap for your success. I didn't realize that I was doing this until I looked back and I saw, well, I did this because of this, and I was trying to do this, but I ended up doing this, and I had a whole roadmap that I didn't even know that I had at the time. Many people today, you go looking for that roadmap. You go looking for, hey, what is that path that I'm supposed to be on? But see, if you're out there looking, you're not aligned with your purpose. So the first step with this is you must have a purpose. And be sure to write this down. You must have a purpose in everything that you do. Even you being on this training today, you have a purpose. You need to unlock what it is. Because what I found is, and I think Brian said this a few minutes ago, what I found is people are trying to live out the purpose of other people. And that's not the way to go about it. You know, I travel the country speaking. I travel out of the country speaking. Many people would look at that and say, that's not what a real estate agent should be doing. How are you doing that? How are you running your business? Oh, he must not be successful. Oh, and I'm out here speaking, educating people. But see, here's the problem. They're trying to align me with their purpose. And I can guarantee you, more than likely, they don't even know their purpose. They don't even know their purpose. Think of the North Star. You don't necessarily have to be religious to grasp this concept, but think of the North Star. You know, in biblical times, they say when Jesus was born, the wise man followed the North Star. In life, you've probably watched movies where people are out there camping and they say, oh, if you need to find your direction, follow the North Star, right? The North Star is that guide. It's that purpose. We need to follow this North Star. We can think of the North Star as the destination, right? Now, traveling, following this North Star, you're going to encounter all kinds of terrain, all kinds of difficulties, just as these wise men encountered, or just as someone out there camping encounters. You know, trees down, rivers you didn't know you had to cross, right? These are all crossroads that are ultimately dilemmas, right? But they had a purpose. And so when you have that purpose acts as a reference to decide, is this path the path that I should be going down? Does this align with what my objectives are? Some of you need to ask yourself this question in everything you do. Does this align with your purpose? Is this going to get you to your long-term goal. You see, especially in real estate, there are countless routes you can take. There are countless opportunities available. If you're anything like me, my phone blows up all day with somebody trying to sell me something, some lead system, some marketing, some appointment setter. Everybody's is out there showing you opportunities, showing you ways of doing things. But are they all worth pursuing? I'll tell you, no, they're not. And there's a reason why I don't partake in a lot of things. Because it's not worth pursuing for me. Now, for you, it could be different, but you always have to ask yourself, is this worth pursuing? When you have a clear purpose, it will help you determine which opportunities will move the needle. Okay? It's going to help you determine which opportunities are going to move you closer to your goal and which ones are simply just distractions. There's a lot of distractions out here. I'm sure you all can agree. There's a lot of distractions. But see, here's what distractions will do, especially right now. We're in a changing market. It's difficult for a lot of people. Distractions play a big role right now, especially when you are in a vulnerable state, right? You don't know what to do. You don't know what's right, what's wrong, what's good. You just know, hey, I want to sell a house or I want to get another client, right? You're not even thinking about what your ultimate goal is. And so you're easily distracted. And during difficult times, it's easy to get lost in this maze due to your emotions, due to your doubts, due to everything else going on. Those external pressures. When you get on social media, you see all these other agents closing deals and you're like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not closing deals? What do I need to get? More than likely, you got to get to work, right? You got to get to work. Let's just be real. You're out there looking for a magic bullet or a magic, what I call a distraction, when you haven't even worked on self yet. You haven't even figured out what your vision, what your purpose is. When you have that clear purpose, it acts as a beacon. It acts as that North Star, something that you can always follow. When you're following this, you now focus all of your energy, all of your efforts, everything that you do on what truly matters. You're cutting out all of the noise, all the confusion. So if you tell me right now, Chasten, I want to sell 3 homes before the end of the year. Heck, I want to sell 3 homes next month. Well, are you going to focus all of your energy and efforts on actually selling those homes? Or is all of your energy and efforts going to go to looking for that shortcut? A lot of people spend a lot of time looking for the shortcut and never find it. So you must have a purpose. This is going to fuel everything. Now, number 2, when you have that purpose, now it's time to merge that purpose with a process. So you must merge your purpose with a process. This is where you are marrying the how and the why. Okay? You're going to merge that purpose with that process. Now, the merging process with purpose ensures that every step that you take aligns with that larger goal or vision. Every single step. You ever heard someone say that if it ain't about money, don't call me? Why? They have a purpose. And they know that your phone call does not align with their purpose. People ask me to speak at all types of events. I don't take them all. They don't align with my purpose. I get an inbox and DM inbox full every day with different brands trying to get me to promote something. But guess what? It doesn't align with my purpose. So I don't take them. Yeah, it'll bring me money. But see, my purpose in life isn't to make money. I'm smarter than that. That's a distraction. That's a byproduct. Yeah, I'm going to get that. It's always showing up. Money comes and goes, but that's not my purpose. I shared my purpose with you earlier. But when I know my purpose, and I think about everything that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. This is what eliminates all those wasteful activities, and it ensures that every action that I take, no matter how small, no matter how small it is, literally posting a video on social media, it can seem small, or updating a status, but guess what? That aligns with my purpose. And so now that's part of my process, and it contributes to what I'm trying to do. Now, I was doing open houses every single weekend. This is when I was trying to break into the luxury markets. So I was trying to break into the luxury markets, and I didn't have any luxury clients, or nobody even knew me for luxury, but I wanted to sell luxury homes. So I said, hey, I'm going to host an open house in a luxury home every single weekend. So I would call other agents who had luxury listings and say, hey, can I host an open house in your property? You don't have to do anything. I'm going to do everything. And I did that for 2 years straight. There was this one time I was in one of the most expensive homes that I've been in, on one of the most expensive streets here in Dallas, and it was a huge house, big house. I think it was kind of haunted, but that's neither here nor there. And nobody was really coming in. It's fine, but there was this one couple who showed up, and it was a little old lady and her husband. I'm assuming he was her husband. She had on this huge big fur coat. I mean, literally looked like she was just dripping money. And they walked in the door, and here I am. Hey, how you doing? And she looks up, and it was almost like she saw a ghost. This lady, she only had 1 foot in the door, and she straight up said, oh, you're not who we were expecting to see here, and turned around and left. And left. Just straight out the door. Now, of course, my mind went in all kinds of ways, but did I mean, what could I do? I had to continue doing that open house. As a matter of fact, the New York Times actually did an article with me where they interviewed me about this experience. Right? They were doing a piece on just different things that happen within the industry: racism, systemic racism, prejudices, all of that, and they wanted my take on it. And so they released this article about it. Now, I'm telling you that to tell you that when that happened, think about how I felt. I was like, dang, I'm not meant to be doing open houses here. I'm not meant to have these types of clients. But then guess what stepped in? My purpose. My purpose stepped in, and it said, yes, Chasen, yes, you are. She's just not meant to work with you, but you're meant to be here. You're actually meant to be here and all these other luxury properties out there. But guess what? That was just an obstacle, y'all. That was just an obstacles. Okay? And when we are faced with obstacles in our business, in our day-to-day, slow market, people not wanting to work with us, people not picking up the phone, leads going ghost. When we are faced with these obstacles change from roadblocks to just forks in the road when you are following your purpose. When you are following the process that you've put in place that aligns with your purpose, it's not a roadblock at that point. It's just a pivot. Do I go left or do I go right with this? Well, if I go left, I'm going to stop doing these open houses, and maybe I should just do those $200,000 homes. Or if I go right, F that, I'm going to keep moving forward down this path because this aligns with my purpose. It's no longer a roadblock. I'm not walking around with my head down saying, oh, they didn't want to work with me. I'm not made for this. Real estate is not for me. I'm not doing that because I feel so strong about what my purpose is. When that process meets purpose, your decision making becomes very clear. It becomes very clear. Okay? Tasks, things that you have to do in your day-to-day, no matter how uncomfortable they are, no matter whether you know how to do it or not, if they are directly tied to your purpose, they become more than just tasks. They become necessities. They become necessities. I heard a few people asking about door knocking earlier. if you know that in order for you to be living out your purpose, for you to reach your goal, that door knocking is a requirement and it now is part of your process, figure it out. Figure it out. Okay? Because you might do it and fail the first time, the second time, the third time. But in life, I'm going to be the first one to tell you what is for you will be for you. It is going to work out. People, they're not going to even know that you're messing up, right? It is going to work out. And I can speak to that. There's a lot of things that I don't know. I told y'all earlier that I just did my first TED Talk. I did not know how to do a TED Talk. I didn't know. But guess what I did know? I knew this was something that leads me closer to my purpose. And so I had to figure out the process. I had to put my process in place. That included long nights rehearsing, being nervous, staying up all night out of excitement, staying up all night out of nervousness, right? That was all part of the process. But guess what? I did it and I got great reviews from it. Great reviews. That's now launched into another book that's about to be published called When Poor Kids Think Rich, coming out this winter. Right? This is all aligning with my process now. I mean, with my purpose. But think if I would have said, oh, no, I'm not ready for that. I don't know how to do it. F that. F the I don't know how to do it. There's no more I don't know how to do it. If it's part of your purpose, if it's going to lead you there, okay, you're going to find so much greater satisfaction just getting it done than not doing it at all. I want to show you all something right quick. I call this the momentum matrix. Okay, the momentum matrix. Let me see, where is it on my screen? Because I want to talk to you right quick and show you about momentum. Momentum is one of those things that when you get that momentum going, it will keep going as long as you keep pushing. It's kind of like when you're putting your foot down on the accelerator in the car, right? If you keep pushing it down, the car will keep going forward. Once you let that foot off the gas, what happens? Ultimately, it starts to slow down. And there's a lot of people who are not living in their process, who are not living in their purpose, and who don't have momentum. Now, I'm showing you this to not call anybody out, but I want you to place yourself. Okay? Up top, we measure purpose. On the left side, we measure action. Okay? So, some of you are in this box that I call aimless action. Aimless action. This means you have high action, but low purpose. Right? You're doing a bunch of things. You're just doing this, but you don't know why you're doing it. And you don't even know ultimately if it's going to get you where you want to get to. You're just doing stuff. You have a lot of action. Then there's others who are just drifting. You're just gone with the wind. Low action, low purpose. Now on the other side, we have the dormant dreamer. All right? You have purpose, you know, and you say to yourself, I want to be this, I want to be that, right? I want to have this, I want to have that. You have purpose, but you're very low on the action. You don't take action. You don't take enough action. Someone could tell you to do something 10 times. You still haven't done it because you're asking how, why, when do I do it, what time, right? You're a dormant dreamer. And then there are those people who move with purposeful action, which is high purpose. You know what you're about and what you're trying to achieve, and high action. You go after it. You go after it. You're not worried about anything else. Heck, sometimes you're not even worried about your emotions. F how you feel. You just go after it. Find your place on this momentum matrix and aim to be in this purposeful action. Okay, this is where you want to be. And you can only be here when you know what your purpose is and you have that high action. It's super important. I hope y'all took a screenshot of that or something, wrote that down, because that is the only way that you can become a high achiever. Now, when you do this, you have to do this for a greater purpose. Okay? When I say greater purpose, I'm talking about a magic word called legacy. Legacy. Okay? You can have a purpose, you can put action behind it, but you have to ask yourself, who am I doing this for? And what am I doing this for? Okay? That term legacy, that's what merges this long-term goal of yours, this long-term vision of yours, and what you want to leave behind. Okay? What do you want other people to know you for? That's a serious question. What do you want other people to know you for? Not just right now, but 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when you've passed on. Okay? What do you want people to know you for? Everything that you do, everything in your purpose, you should be doing it to leave a lasting legacy. You are in a position, if you're in the real estate industry, entrepreneurship, whatever you're in, you are in a position to leave a stamp on this world. You are in a position to change lives. You are in a position to help people. It's more than just about a transaction. It's more than just about a deal. And I'll tell you this, when you've reached a certain point and you are acting in your purpose, I'll tell you, I get more satisfaction out of someone coming up to me, telling me how I've changed their life, how I've helped them, how they were thinking about doing something crazy, but I put them on the straight and narrow path, than just a seller saying, thank you for selling my house. Why? Because I'm living out my purpose on one side. On the other side, it's just the process to get there. Okay? That's how those two marry. And I know that my legacy right now, it consists of helping, changing people's lives. It consists of books. It consists of pouring blessings over people. We're launching a nonprofit. It's going to consist of all the people that we help with that nonprofit. That's what my legacy is. You think about, what is your legacy? What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to remember you as or think about when they think of your name? Is it just going to be a home that you sold? Is it going to be a home that you didn't sell? Or is it going to be something that you did that actually has a lasting impact? Now, you don't have to do all the projects that I'm doing or all the things that I'm doing. You can change the trajectory of your future generations just by following your purpose. Just by living in your purpose. Right? I'm the first person in my family to do what I'm doing. Everybody else in my family, they held back. They didn't speak up, speak out of turn. I'm the only one. That's going to be a part of my legacy. So, remember, let's think about that legacy. Then, with that legacy, hey, what's my purpose? What's my purpose in life to achieve that? And at that point, now, make sure everything that you do in your day-to-day, in your process, is a part of your purpose. That's my time, Brian. Oh, I can't hear you. Sorry. I think he's getting his mic. Okay. Yep. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. I see you in the comments. I see you in the comments. Absolutely. Look, I can leave y'all with one more story while Brian's fixing his mic. Um, this is a story. Everybody knows what a lumberjack is, right? Lumberjack, big burly man. Well, there are these two lumberjacks. Every single day they go out and they chop down trees. They chop wood. This is what they did all day. And at the end of the day, they had to turn all this wood in. This was their job. And both of these lumberjacks, they would always have the same amount of wood to turn in, right? But the difference was one of the lumberjacks, he would go on a 2 hour break while the other one would work straight through it. So one day, the lumberjack who would just work straight through it, he got kind of angry. The man came back from break and he said, how is it that you always take this long lunch break and you come back and you chop just as much wood as I do and we turn in the same amount? It's not fair. And then he simply says to the other man, he says, well, you think on my break that I'm just eating, having fun, when really on my break I'm spending an hour of that sharpening my axe. And that allows me to come back, to chop faster, to break through this wood smoother, and less work than you. I want you to think about that, okay? In everything that you do, he knew what his purpose was, but he had a different process. And that process was getting him to that same destination. I heard Brian say it earlier. It's not about what I'm doing or what somebody else is doing. You don't have to copy somebody else, right? You can reach the same destination, but you have to find your process, your tribe, your people to help you get there. And it'll be smooth, it'll be faster, it'll take a lot less work, and it'll feel very natural. You good? All right. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Appreciate y'all.